This is Dr. Ron's Words of Wisdom, words on leadership, goal setting, productivity, and a whole lot more. Consider this your vitamin or supplement for your mind and heart. Wherever you listen to podcasts, would you please subscribe to Dr. Ron's Words of Wisdom and leave a rating and a brief written review, as well as telling your other friends where to find it. We're now on Spotify and Stitcher, as well as iTunes and Listen Notes and Podbean and a whole lot of other places. So please subscribe and leave a rating. It is very essential to have this in order to help others be able to find this podcast. Today I want to talk about the power of authenticity. Be authentically you. I'm sure it's true of every profession that we all try to mimic or copy or be like a mentor or someone who's very famous or well known at what we do. Starting out as a young pastor who had to preach, I'm sure that I tried to copy and emulate those who I thought were effective in that. And there have even been times when people said, "Do you realize you sound like," and they'll name the person's name. But let me tell you who the best person to sound like, look like, operate like, and conduct yourself like, and that would be yourself. You are a unique individual created by the Almighty to be who you are. And if we needed another of someone else but you would have been created. Now, obviously, it is a natural tendency to learn our trade, regardless of what our trade is, from those who are effectively doing what we want to do and who are today where we hopefully will be someday. The problem is, it's a lot like pretending. Don't pretend to be who you are not. That is, in essence, the opposite of authenticity. Now, we can learn, but run it through your own processes and develop it yourself. There's not a thing wrong with learning from others. We all do that. That's a major part of the learning process. But run it through your filter. Be who you are supposed to be. Each one of us are uniquely gifted, uniquely where we are today because of our family, our education, our experiences, mostly good, bad, and indifferent. And all of those happenings, the individuals, the events, the jobs, the people we've hung out with, all of those things together go into making us who we are. Quit pretending to be someone that you're not. So here's the way I want you to look at it on a line of continuum. Every day you and I are either moving toward being the authentic person that we are, or we're moving the opposite, trying to fool people, trying to get people to think we're something that we're not. Why is it that folks don't just naturally want to be the authentic person they were created to be? I think there are a couple of reasons. One is fear. We are way too often governed by our fears. We have a fear that if people really knew who I was, they wouldn't like me. If they really knew what I think, if they really knew how limited I am, if they really knew where I came from and what my past was like, they wouldn't like me. Or the fear that if I try that, it may fail. If I try that and it all blows up in my face, what will it have gotten me? And unfortunately, there are people whose lives are just paralyzed by fear. And so when you're governed by fear, one of the things that easily comes out of that is this trying to be someone else, finding someone that we can glom onto who has some degree of success and say, I think if I talk like them, walk like them, think like them, do the things that they do, I will be just like them. And so we're afraid to be who we are. So don't allow your life to be governed by fear. It is a horrible, crippling way to live. Embrace who you are. It doesn't mean that you don't have room for improvement. I and you and everyone else needs to constantly be improving, needs to constantly be developing ourselves. But you are who you are where you are for a purpose and on reason. Push past the fear. To do anything in life, To accomplish anything in life, you and I are going to have to push through our fears. And then there's a second thing that I think keeps us from being our authentic selves, and that's procrastination. Procrastination really is a manifestation out of fear. We know that what we need to do, we need to sit down and do some hard work. We need to sit down and just put our head down and get some work done. And it will move us to where we're going to do something. And that fear begins to come in. And then procrastination is a trap rather, in which we'll say, well, I've done pretty good these last 15, 20 minutes of getting some things done. I think I'll go to the store. I think I'll go out for a meal. I'll go take a swim. I'll do whatever. And there's nothing wrong with any of those activities, except it's being fueled by a fear and a procrastination. Procrastination will keep us from ever getting out of the present into a preferable future. Matter of fact, procrastination, many of the things that we do while we're procrastinating aren't evil or bad things. They're just not helping moving us into the future. And so when you combine fear and procrastination, it really becomes much like a hamster wheel. Oh, we're spending energy and there's a lot of movement and a lot of activity and even calories being burned, but we're not moving ahead. And so continually, leader, you need to be asking yourself, am I actually doing something that will lead to an accomplishment or to a purpose or to some change or to being able to do what I want to do? Or am I just spinning the wheel, fooling myself out of fear and my love of procrastination that I'm actually doing something when I'm not moving forward at all? So it's fear and procrastination that really keep a lot of people from being their authentic selves. So what do we need to do to be an authentic person? To be the unique individual we have been created to be and who we have studied and learned and developed, what do we need to do? Let me give you 3 or 4 exercises. The first one is go ahead right now, this week, and do something that you're not ready to do. And what that means, I don't mean that you've not prepared or you don't have the facts and figures. I'm talking about with our comfort level. Most of us who have ever done anything different or new were not ready for it. We just weren't ready. Even when I had gone to school 8 years to learn how to do what I did and do for many years, I can remember the Monday after my first weekend in which I had expended that day to the congregation everything I knew. And now it dawned on me, I am going to have to do this often, do this weekly. How do you do that? I wasn't ready for it, but I'd already accepted the assignment. When it came time to start podcasting, I thought I should read one more book, listen to one more podcast, talk to one more coach, and then I'll be ready. And the truth of it is, if you're going to attempt something new, there'll always be fear and trepidation. There'll always be a discomfort because you're trying things you've not done before. You're exercising mental and emotional muscle that you haven't exercised for a while. And everything that you do right now that you're comfortable with, if you could trace back in your life far enough, there was a time when you were exceedingly uncomfortable with that. So I'm not saying just do something when you don't know what you're doing. But if you've gathered the information, you have a plan, push past the fear, because that's more than likely what it is, and just do something even before you're ready. This is what this exercise will help you with. You're going to have to, if you're going to be a change agent, if you're going to be the leader that you should be, you're going to have to become comfortable doing the uncomfortable. Oh, in leadership, there's so many things that no matter how often you have to do it, it's uncomfortable. Letting a person go, confronting a person with the truth, having to make the tough decisions. Those are uncomfortable, and I don't care how many years experience you have or how well you operate in that zone, you're still uncomfortable. So here's what I have decided some years ago. I may not get comfortable with the different acts or actions that are required because of leadership positions that I hold. So I'm going to do the next best thing. I'm going to become comfortable with having to do the uncomfortable, which means I have to have conversations with myself saying, this is who you are. This is why you're here. You must do this. Get comfortable with it. You have to do something. You're not ready. If we waited till everything was ready and everyone was ready, I want to tell you something, not one thing would ever get done. Right now, if you're going to be the authentic you know what it is you need to be doing. You know that one thing that you've been dreaming about and planning and thinking about. You just need to do it. Get comfortable with being uncomfortable. You'll learn, you'll make mistakes. It's okay. It's a part of it. You can continue on. Just do something you're not ready, and that will help you in being the authentic leader that you were meant to be. The second thing that I would say in regard to authenticity is have standards and keep them, even when no one is looking. That's integrity. Have standards. Make up your mind before you begin doing something. These are lines I will not cross. To be an authentic person is I have to be authentic to myself. And unfortunately, certain areas of business and entrepreneurship get a bad rap because people began to make compromises and acting in ways they would not normally act. I believe that's because they didn't have the standards talk with themselves before they started. There's going to be a lot of pressure to compromise. There's going to be pressure to cut corners. There's going to be pressure to do even things that are semi or even actually illegal. Have standards and say, I will not cross this line, even when it costs me business, even when it costs me finances. If you're going to be an authentic person, be authentic to who you are. Keep your standards, keep your commitments, even when it's uncomfortable. The next one, the third one that I would say is trust God and trust yourself. You are where you are today uniquely to make a difference, unlike anyone else can do but you. And I understand that all of us, we say, well, what? You don't know about my past. You can't change the past. That's just something we're all going to have to accept. You can't change the past, but you can change your future by changing your present. Trust yourself. You've been prepared for this moment. Whatever it is you're trying to do it. Do it even if you're not ready. Keep to your standards, but trust God, trust yourself, and move on. And I'll give you the last one, and it's perhaps the most important in living an authentic life. Get started right now. Someday is not on the calendar. As a matter of fact, before I turned on the equipment and started recording this podcast, I was looking at my calendar and I saw nowhere in today, this week, this month, this year, or next year. There is no such day as someday. And yet far too many people live in love with someday. Someday is never going to happen. You have only today. Get started. If you're going to write a book, sit down for 5-10 minutes and start writing. If you're going to begin a speaking career, start speaking. If you're going to get out of debt, make up your mind right now. You're not going to charge things on credit cards, and you're going to start paying down your debt. If you're going to save for retirement, start today. Not when it's easy, not in the future, some beautiful someday. It's never going to come. If you're going to be authentic to who you are and the values you hold, you need to get started today, right now. Quit procrastinating, quit being afraid. Go ahead and do it even though you don't feel you're ready, you really are. Keep your standards, even when no one's looking, even when it's difficult. Trust God and yourself. And friend, do something today. Get started. You've been listening to Dr. Ron's Words of Wisdom. Words on leadership, goal setting, productivity, and a whole lot more. I hope today this has been like a vitamin or a supplement for your mind and heart. Wherever you download podcasts, would you please subscribe to Dr. Ron's Words of Wisdom? And it'd be oh so very helpful if you'd leave a rating and a brief written review and help spread the word. This is Dr. Ron saying, leader, you're doing better than you think you are, and don't be anyone else. It's already taken. Be your authentic self and notice the difference it makes. This is Dr. Ron saying until next time, have a blessed day.